there was a funny story, and I don't think I ever told you this. So I didn't have any telephone numbers. They still hadn't accessed my cell phone. So these two jailers, a man and a woman, black man and black woman, probably mid to late 20s, early 30s. And we're driving, and I just do what Glenn does, and I'm talking to him, and I make friends. And I finally convinced the woman. I said, listen, they have not let me access my cell phone. I've got no numbers. I see you're on your Facebook on your phone. Could I ask you to do me a favor? And she's like, what? I said, get on your messenger and send a message to Kenny Dietrich.
Oh, my God. He's in the documentary.
He's in the documentary. I said, send a message to Kenny Dietrich. Now, he's going to think you're a scam. So here's what I want you to say. Tell him that you've got Glenn Baker in the back of a van, shackled and handcuffed on the way to North Carolina, and he's going to say, nah, it's a scam. Tell him, Glenn told me to tell you that, do you remember the time when you told some customers to go find Glenn standing underneath a Dodge Neon? And she did it. And I'm the only one could ever came up with that.
Sure.
He used to make fun of my height all the time. And he told some clients, go find Glenn on the other side of this car lot, standing underneath the Dodge Neon. That's how you'll know he's there. And so she told him that. And all of a sudden, I got my first telephone number through a jailer so that I could call somebody when I got to that other jail. But it's one of these stories, it's like, I never would have believed it. I never would have believed that happens in the United States. Man, I'm a middle-aged businessman, never been in trouble, and lost my freedom without any evidence that I'd done anything wrong, only an accusation. And that's today's America. And quite frankly, Phil, that's what it took for me to be woken up out of the matrix. Because up to that point, I thought my government loved me, had my best interest at heart, wouldn't hurt me. I had no idea.
So you were talking to one of the jailers that was on their cell phone in the van with you.
In the van.
So you never told me that part of the story. That is some, well, maybe not Nate Cain, James Bond level, but that's pretty slick, man.
That's slick,
I
baby.
like that.
And that's how I
Kenny
got the
Dietrich
first
thing,
number.
That's slick, bro.
That's how I got the first number. And then Kenny called and got my sister's number. So that's how I got the number. You never
told me that.
I never got them from my phone.
That's such a good part of the story.
I know. I don't know how I didn't think of it.
That's like timcast exclusive.
That gives whole new context to the joke in the movie about you standing under the Dodge Neon. So now I know.
That's true. Yeah.
You got to see the movie, y'all. Go
It's
finish
hilarious.
this fight.us. Buy the movie. Watch Kenny Dietrich. That part alone is worth.
And I'm glad
$11.
And I'm glad that you guys did the movie the way you did, because otherwise I would have left the movie completely pissed off and unsatisfied. There's a lot of comedy that's spread throughout the movie, and it's good.
Good.
So, I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's. How
I don't remember the question because you can talk for an hour about nothing.
I'm trying to piece together the story. I'm looking for what the actual you said that there was the accusation from someone else that was probably because of your former business partner. And I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure out if there was a pretense that you were arrested under, or if there was something that they were actually interested in that was beyond what you were told.
I wish it was that interesting. I wish I had some kind of crazy knowledge that somebody was trying to get to. At the end of the day, what I think happened is this pastor embezzled money from these people and convinced them that I had done it because I was out of the state already. He was just trying to get out from being in trouble.
I guess what I'm looking for is some reason for the both the Broward County and the North Carolina Justice Departments to behave in the way that they did, right? Because if a story says, if you're dealing with someone that has a negative interaction with the police, if there's one jurisdiction that is doing something that is wrong or is somehow behaving outside the law, that's understandable. For two different jurisdictions to be,
Wasn't that the weird thing that they were like in cohorts together against a guy that didn't do anything?
Yeah, that's what. And usually, I would imagine there would be a story that would be told. One would be kind of unaware of the the motivation of the one that's actually looking to prosecute, right? So it was North Carolina that really wanted to get their hands on you. And I imagine Broward County would be unaware or uninterested in what it is that North Carolina was after. And so for them to show up with a SWAT team at your house on a domestic and then wrap you up when there was clearly no one else inside the house.
Yep.
You live alone, there's no one there. If someone calls in a domestic to actually be the impetus to get you into custody, I'm just trying to figure out, or I'm wondering what it is, or wondering if there was something else that was going on, or what how it was that you could get both of these two separate jurisdictions to behave in such nefarious ways.
I wish I knew the answer to that. And what I think I've seen is that stuff like this happens way more than we realize.
Oh yeah.
That it's par for the course.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think this is happening every day, and not everybody can make a movie about it. I think that's just the crazy thing, is that he's just one of a million people that are telling the story. I think this is happening all the time. And look, I'm not trying to dunk on the police. We need them, and they need to be trained correctly. I think that's one of the biggest problems. The whole defund the police thing was such a crime because police need more training. You can go through like a basic, right? And I have never gone through it. So don't quote me on. Yeah. So they go through a training and then they're like, go out into the wild. And depending on where you are, it could be a lot less wild. Or it could be a lot more wild, but you get jaded really quick and they don't get enough training. I think we need to.
They certainly don't get enough training on the Constitution. In fact,
That's
I
true,
would
too.
say that
A lot of times they don't know the law.
I'd say they don't. They don't know. I think a lot of them don't know the authority that the Constitution has over every other law. And so we see this problem in the military too. We see this problem in the military. We see it in anywhere where you have lines of authority, right? It's in the FBI. It's in the local police, the sheriff's departments, everywhere, which is that people get used to obeying orders.
Yeah.
And they just go ahead and do it. In fact, there have been studies that have been done on this after World War II. There's a famous one, I can't remember the name of it, but where they had a bunch of students at the university. There were two kind of famous tests, and I remember learning this in my psychology class. But one of them was really interesting. They got a bunch of students to pretend they were hooked up to electrodes, and you remember the story, right? And they got the teachers turn the volume up on the electricity, and of course the kids were all acting and everything. But there was a mark on there that said "Don't go beyond." And when they were told to go beyond it, they did.
They did. Just
80% of them.
Just so long as authority said it was okay.
That's right.
The authority figure said no, it's okay for you to do this.
And afterwards, these teachers had PTSD.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't understand why they did that either.
Yeah.
And of course, the kids were screaming and passing out and all totally going.
I love that.
But it showed a
crazy
very,
experiment.
very important thing. They were trying to understand how
I
Nazi
believe they
guards.
stopped. I think that this experiment, they said they couldn't do it anymore after that happened. I'm not positive.
No, it was absolutely never allowed again.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.